did not have a lot of opportunity in the United States. We make sure that we cover that for them and include them in that sense.
So now, who are some of the women that you have that you're maybe looking at now for your next?
Sure. So for this book, I really focused on this 10-year period, pretty much from 2012 to 2000 till now, essentially the summer of 23. And, so I looked at the champions who came out of the Olympics, Claressa Shields, Katie Taylor, Savannah Marshall, Michaela Mayer, Marlon Esparza, uh, Natasha Jonas, and Nicola Adams, which, as I said, came out of those classes of the 2012 and 2016 Olympians, who really had an incredible impact on the sport as they turned professional. They were given opportunities that many women who were continuing to fight during this period, who did not have benefit of being in the Olympics, did not have benefit of being elite amateurs, were not able to get signed by major promoters and being given real monetary opportunities. So a fighter like Claressa Shields, in her debut bout, was able to earn $50,000. That is more than a fighter like Alicia Ashley, who was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame last year, ever made. Ever. I mean, I think her top earning was $30,000, and she had to go to Mexico to be able to earn that. And she was already a WBC champion. So there really were changes. When Katie Taylor was signed by Eddie Hearn at Matchroom, they, as part of her signing, they really mapped out how she would achieve what she would achieve. Not because her goal was to really elevate the sport on the professional level. So when she joined Matchroom, it was with the understanding that she was only going to be fighting the best as much as possible, that there would be monetary opportunities for her and her opponents, and that she would be able to to compete eventually as an undisputed fighter. So that was very much the direction that was in place when she was signed. A fighter like Heather Hardy from New York, who was signed by Lou DiBella for her first fight, actually had her first fight in just the same week as the Olympics in New York City. She fought a little 4-rounder on a Broadway boxing local club card, was knocked out in the first round, somehow, then said, hell no, I am not going to lose this fight. Came back to win. And in winning her little 4-round fight, Lou DiBella said, wow, I have something here. I want to sign her. So he did. And she was the first fighter that he signed to a multi-fight contract as a promoter. But she didn't get $50,000 for it.
No.
She got $2,000, $3,000. The most she ever earned was $20,000 or $30,000 until she fought Amanda Serrano this past summer of 23, when she fought for the undisputed title. And that was because her sis in boxing, her boxing sister, Amanda Serrano, said, hey, I'm going to return the favor. You gave me a shot to take your title. I'm giving you a shot to take mine. But it was with the understanding that Heather would finally, for one time in her life, have a real payday. So that's the difference here. So you have this kind of level of very, very narrow little band of fighters who are able to be in the ballpark of a decent payday. Now, nothing to do with what men earned at that level of elite. Okay.
No.
Canelo. Okay. There's Claressa Shields. She's been undisputed 3 times. Her biggest payday is $1 million. Okay. Middleweight champion, right? Super middleweight champion. So who's her counterpart? Canelo. Okay. Now Canelo's has had 50 fights, more than 50 fights, da 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 da. But he earns what? 50 million, 100 million. He
Yeah.
earns the bar bill, you know. So even though, I mean, we say, oh my God, this is fantastic. There, a woman can earn $500,000 for a bout, or 250,000, 300,000, 400,000. That's the A side. The B side is still earning 30, 40,000, you know, and getting beat, and their promoters and their managers are getting beat up to say, oh, we don't have the money for it. Oh, please, please, please. It's only 20 minutes.
It's the
There you
nastiest game in the world, even though it's, we love it, but it's, tell me like it
look,
is.
we know it's exploitative. We know all those things. And for women, it's that much harder. And in the United States, where there's so much pressure on boxing anyway, because we've lost HBO, we've lost Showtime, there's no regular boxing shows anymore. ESPN is like, oh, is there a fight? Really? I mean, it's like you have to scour BoxRec and hope that they actually have things listed so that you can maybe figure out where something is going to be broadcast. Where there is a lot of fighting are on these little club shows, but good luck finding how to view them. They're
Yeah.
on FaceTime, they're on YouTube, they're on, streaming services you never heard of. That'll cost you $20. It's like,
some of those are going out, have gone out of business.
you've got a fighter like Ava Knight, who I write about a little bit in the book. She was a remarkable champion. She's in the same generation as Marlon Esparza, Sinisa Estrada, a couple of years older, but they all were boxing around the same time. They would trip across each other. But Ava Knight, after 2008, she realized that she wasn't going to, the Olympics wasn't going to happen, and she didn't want to wait till 2012. So she turned pro. She was winning titles, doing all of this stuff. She is the real deal as a boxer. But she was caught in that kind of interregnum period where there was no television coverage in America, very little opportunity to really fight on any kind of consistent basis. And she's young still, and really still an incredibly talented boxer. But she can't get a fight. She's fighting for Team Combat League, with other, like Erica Farias is fighting for them. Ginny Fuchs is supposed was, I thought, signed by Top Rank, but she can't get a fight. So she's fighting for Team Combat League. So you have these amazing women champions, Olympians, and they can't get fights in America. So they're fighting, a round or two at Team Combat League, and grateful for the opportunity to work and get a little money. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I wanted to ask you, I see I'm sporting my new do here.
I can hear. I never see it. I've never seen you without your cap. Love it.
I know. Talking about the Olympics,
Yep.
since the rules have changed, how do we present the opportunities to the amateurs that we used to, and how do we now gauge how our programs are being run, or how do we gauge the competition when we have this mixture of amateurs versus pros?
Well, certainly at the elite level, for to go on the Olympic track, if you will, they're boxing each other in tournaments that are all amateur, and whether it's the women's program or the men's program. And we just finished up the trials in Thailand for the Olympics that are coming up this summer. And those are, of course, all amateur. The issue, though, is much broader than that question, because, AIBA was the governing body, and there was a lot of corruption and all sorts of issues. It was taken over. It was got a new president, was rebranded as the IBA. They're in even more trouble. The Olympic Committee has basically took over the 2020, the management of the 2020 and 2024 boxing portion of the Olympics in terms of managing the trials, all of this other stuff. And they have now stated that the IBA may no longer participate in the Olympics at all. So there's a new organization called World Boxing that has a very different governance structure and is working very closely with the Olympic Committee to kind of justify its existence as an inheritor, if you will, of managing the elite international boxing amateur programs. But, they only have about 23 odd countries that have signed with them. And if they don't very quickly get to at least 40, there will be no Olympics at all in 2028. So the state of Olympic boxing is very precarious right now. And while the level of expertise, of prowess shown in Thailand was remarkable on the women's and men's side of the sport, we're all a little bit panicked that it may not continue in 2028, which for women's boxing in particular would be devastating.
Yeah, that's those were some of the rumors that I was hearing. That's why I kind of.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely the case. IBA is out. World Boxing is in. India, the Boxing Federation of India just agreed to sign with World Boxing. That was a very huge shift because they are amateur powerhouses. Their fighter Mary Kom, she was winning in like at the elite level of international competition for like a generation, basically. And she was their first Olympian. She won a bronze medal in 2012. She came back to the Olympics in 2016. So the program in India, they were very dedicated to their amateur boxing program and to supporting women in the sport. So the fact that they have signed with World Boxing is very important, very impressive, and we hope will really have an effect of bringing along other countries' boxing federations into the World Boxing fold. There are political issues around this because the IBA is Russian run. It's a mess. It's an absolute bloody mess.
Couple other things before I let you go. I know you're on Eastern Standard Time up there in New York City, but so what is this about Clarissa Shields moving up? Is this going to be a sanctioned fight?
Yeah, she's going to fight in two weights. There's going to be a light. I think the desire is to fight it, I think at below 175, so they can contest for light heavyweight and heavyweight. And for Clarissa Shields, that's her walking around weight. She walks around at what, 180?
Yeah.
Even if it's 190, getting down 15 pounds is nothing. It's a lot easier than getting down to 155, 154 or even 160.
160.
So I personally think it's a smart move for her because there's nobody for her to fight at middleweight right now. She's not going to go down to welter. That's insane. She's not going to go fight at 147. That's crazy. She can fight at 154, but no. But why? She's already done it. So going up in weight, why not? Clean it out. Get more titles. She doesn't have to drop 1,000 pounds. And she's strong. And it's a good challenge. She's fighting, the opponent is a good fighter out of Canada. Doesn't have an enormous record in the sport, but did win the heavyweight title, legit. And so I say go for it, because what else? Who else can she fight?
Yeah.
You know, Shea Green lost to Franchon Cruz. She could fight Franchon again. You know, it won. But
Uh,
they already, been there, done that.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
new challenge. She's
Yeah.
doing it in Detroit. She doesn't have to move. You know, she
It's-
lives in Flint. Why
Yeah.
not? What else? The only other fight she had this year was MMA. Ugh,
Yeah. Yeah.
her last fight was a year ago. And it was supposed to be with a rematch with Hannah Gabriel. Then you had the whole drug nonsense. So good for her. I say go for it. What else is she going to do in boxing?
Um, I want to go over your women's pound for pound here.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have Clarissa Shields, number one.
Yep.
Katie Taylor, number two, used to be number three over Amanda Serrano.
Mm-hmm.
Um, why the change there? Was it because of the competition or the
It was
latest?
because of, a little bit of the competition, and Katie Taylor defeated Chantel Cameron in the second fight. And so it was the competition in terms of who she fought, how she fought, versus who even though Amanda Serrano went the 12 rounds, she had the fight against Heather, and then she had her 12-round fight. Um, and it was an issue of competition. Chantel Cameron was a harder win.
And Shanice Estrada, undefeated, only 9 KOs, but she's a strawweight. I watched this young lady ever since I guess she was 1-0.
Yeah,
So study. What's your assessment?
I think she's great. I love Sinisa Estrada. I thought she had a very tough win. She fought a really tough fight to become undisputed, and I think she's incredibly deserving and incredibly brilliant. And so we have a real strong feeling about her. I mean, right now we have Clarissa Shields, Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron, Sinisa Estrada, Amanda Serrano. So we gave um, when Chantel defeated Katie the first time, we pushed Chantel up, and when Sinisa won the undisputed, we pushed her up to the four position, and then we have Alicia Baumgartner is still parked at 6. We'll see what
Well,
happens.
right. And the one I got, you have Natasha Jonas. She had moved up from number 9 because of
Yeah, she's at 8 now.
okay.
Dina Thorslin is at 7. Well, I guess we have Shields, Taylor, Chantel Cameron, Sinisa Estrada, Amanda Serrano, Alicia Baumgartner, Dina Thorslin, who we're very high on. We think she's great. So there may be some movement there. Got to see what fights on. Then we have Natasha Jonas, Yocosta Valle, and Michaela Mayer. But there's some fights coming up, so we'll see what that is. Now, Mayer, she was on the edge but even though she lost to Jonas, her showing was so strong. Um, and I mean, it could be argued she won. It was close, so we kept her in the top 10 because we felt that her fight with Jonas was elite. It could have been a win, but a win is a win is a win. Win went to Jonas, but her skill level, Michaela Mayer has really improved and matured as a boxer. since her loss to Alicia Baumgartner in 2022.
Well, as usual, it's always insightful, and our fans get a chance to really get an insight into women's boxing. Whenever I want to know anything about women's boxing, I always bring you on the show, and I just thank you always for taking time out of your evening to spend a few moments with me and with my show. As I say, I don't know how you find the time,
I
but
don't know either because I'm the rest of the time I'm taking care of my husband. So it's what it is.
And the cat. Where's the cat? I don't see the cat.
Well, I've got two. I've got Sugar Ray and Marvelous Milo.
Yeah,
My little pugilists, pugilist kitties. They're
well,
sleeping.
give us your final thoughts, and as always, we appreciate your time and all the effort that you put into making it sure that we stay informed and making sure that women's boxing stays one of the priorities while we're talking about our sport. So,
Well,
give us
I
your
thank
final
you
thoughts.
for the platform and the opportunity, James. We go way back now, and I always appreciate the opportunity you give me to talk about my passion, and I am passionate about it, and I am very proud that I have two books: A History of Women's Boxing, and now The Promise of Women's Boxing, a momentous new era for the sweet science. Um, what I what I feel proud of is being able to tell the stories of these remarkable athletes. And I also want to make sure that people understand that at the end of the day, what women really bring into the ring is heart like you've never seen it. And because they don't fight for millions of dollars, they don't fight for anything except their own belief in themselves and the righteousness of what they do, their own right to contest in a boxing ring. And I just feel that it's so important to make sure that no one loses sight of how important that is to those women who fight and to the young girls who watch them and get excited by it and think to themselves, wow, I can do that too. Or to old ladies like me who still go to the gym. And I look at somebody like a Veronica Jeffrey and how she throws a jab, and I go, that's a poem. It's a poem. It's a poem. One day, maybe I'll throw one like that. Um, so, anyway, y'all can find me on social media. I'm at Girlboxing Now. Um, my website is girlboxing.org, or you can get me at Malissa-Smith. That's Malissa-Smith at .com. And what else? And my books, you can find them on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or if you like going to brick and mortar, just ask them to order it for you and you can pick it up. And as I said, I'm just excited because I'm #1 today in new releases for boxing, and just makes me cry because I just am so beholden to the folks who are actually buying this book and believe in me enough and in the sport enough to want to learn more about these remarkable athletes. So thank you.
You have a great night. Looking forward to having you again.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Good night. That was Miss Melissa Smith, and as always, we enjoy having her on the show. But tonight, our second guest is Mr. Adrian Clark. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good, James. How are you?
Oh man, hey, every day above ground is a good day.
I got you on that.
You know? So
Can you hear me pretty well?
yeah. Oh yes, sir. I can. We can hear you very well.
Good deal.
So let's talk a little bit about you. Now, what is your background, and how did you get into the sweet science?
Currently, I am the CEO of Fighters First Management. Um, we have Jolene Mazzone as president of Fighters First Management. Jolene spent 25 years at Main Events as Kathy Duva's right-hand woman, and now she manages the fighters that we have at Fighters First. Brian Norman Jr., who just won world title a couple weeks ago against Giovanni Santillan, Otto Weiland, Giovanni Cabrera, Justin Figueroa out of Atlantic City, Sean McCallman, Justin Paldo, Shariah Moreu. I think that's it. We have a pretty good group. We have a really good group of guys and girls. And I started my career in the amateurs in college while I was earning my undergraduate degree from Texas A&M in Corpus Christi. Wasn't good enough to go pro. My last fight, I always say my last fight knocked me into the business of boxing. I caught a right hook I didn't see coming, and I don't remember getting hit. I don't remember clinching. I don't remember. Just remember snapping back into it, and the ref was telling me to walk to him, and I tried to take a step, and I stumbled, and he called the fight, and I just remember what happened, and my college roommates and friends were there. They're like, "Yo, man, you got hit with a right hook, man." And I remember watching the film, and I was like, "Damn!" Like I couldn't believe that was me on camera getting hit like that. I was like, you know what? I think I'm better suited for the business side of things, man. So that was my last fight, and I hopped into the management side, and this is my 14th year being in the business of boxing, man. So I'm a young guy, but I've been in for quite some time now.
Okay, so where did you get the passion from boxing? Was it from the family and friends, or just watching the game, or?
Well, my brother, and it's funny, today is June 4th. My brother passed away 18 years ago today, and that's who groomed me to get into the boxing business because of this guy. So my brother thought he was Mike Tyson when we were coming up, and
Okay.
yeah, my brother's 5 years. He's 5 years older than me, so I was the little brother that got beat up a lot by his big brother. But my brother swore he was Mike Tyson. But as I got older and started watching Roy Jones a lot, Roy Jones was the man back then. So I would learn stuff watching Roy, and I still remember the one time I actually got a win against my brother in a fight that we had. So my brother was the one that really introduced me to the sport. And then, once I chose to go to Texas A&M down in Corpus, I started mentoring these kids at this boxing gym, and they pushed for me to get in the ring, and I did it for my brother, and I'm still doing it for my brother.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So you mentioned you're going to Texas A&M. Have you you put any other tools under your belt?
Yeah, so I'm the author of 5 books. My best-selling book titled "Protect Yourself at All Times: A Guide for Professional Boxers," and I'm really an advocate. I think that's what I'm more known for. I'm an advocate for the fighters educating themselves on the business side of boxing outside the ring. You hear so many stories about fighters being taken advantage of contractually or financially. So when I started in the business at 23 years old, I didn't know much, man. I was a young guy, like learning on the fly, and I was representing this young fighter by the name of Jerry Belmontes, who was 11-0 at the time. And I remember as this 23-year-old, like freshly graduate from college, I remember getting this promotional contract, and I was reading it. And I'm not a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, but I was like, bro, like, why did you sign this? It was a horrible contract. And he was like, I needed the money, and it was like $3,000. And I'm like, bro, like you'll never get out of this contract. So that was my introduction to boxing. We went through a contract dispute. I was trying to get it reconstructed in 11 months, man. My client didn't fight. I was looking bad as a manager, but it all made sense. I got him out of the contract. But long story short, um, I became a strong advocate for fighters educating themselves on what it is that they're signing, what it means to sign with a promoter, taking money from management, paying your taxes, understanding your money, planning for retirement. Those are things that I talk about in Protect Yourself at All Times, the book. And I've done a podcast with Everlast. I have a documentary, actually several documentaries, but I'm continuously putting knowledge out there for the fighters and their families to understand that this is a business first and a sport in a secondary nature. And it's been a good journey.
Okay. What did you in going through your journey and being an advocate for the sport? what did you think when they started mixing amateurs and pros on the Olympic level?
It works. Think about like the dream team. There was only one college guy on the dream team, which was Christian Leitner, and he was kind of just kind of like the
But he
guy.
was on the bench, man.
Yeah, he was. He was on the bench, but,
You know,
he,
he was a token.
yeah, he was. He was. But I, honestly, I have my issues with amateur boxing as a whole in regards to USA boxing because again, everyone is focused on like what goes on in the ring because they're thinking, just want to see a good fight or a great fight. But from my standpoint, I feel like USA Boxing misses the boat because they have a great opportunity to educate the fighters or to start the conversation to help educate the fighters in regards to the business side of boxing, and they do a horrible job of that. So, I don't speak too much on what goes on with USA Boxing inside the ring because they don't prepare the fighters in regards to the Olympic fighters and the fighters that are just a part of the network. They don't prepare them for the business side of boxing, and it's no secret that fighters get taken advantage of contractually and financially, and it's been that way for decades. But they start with US boxing, so I don't have really a comment on mixing amateurs and pros. I feel like it should be an amateur thing, but I don't really have much of a comment on that due to my other issues with USA boxing.
Okay, okay, I'll respect that. Now, I want to ask you about preparation and not just okay. Now, first we're going to talk about inside the ring because I'm looking at some of our recent bouts that have been televised or on YouTube, maybe some other platforms, and it seems it's almost like a lot of our other sports have become. It's more flash and dash rather than fundamentals.
Yeah, yeah. It's I know where you're going with that, and this younger group, man, and I'm a part of that. I'm 38 now, but I
Man,
remember.
I wish. Oh my God. Oh, bring back those lovely. That's all right.
I remember, when I was fighting amateur, I really enjoyed, watching Bernard Hopkins and Jermaine Taylor and hell, even Kelly Pavlik. Like a lot of those guys back then.
My hometown,
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah,
Pavlik.
but
Uh,
nowadays, these kids they see like Floyd Mayweather, and even though Floyd Mayweather is very fundamentally sound, but they see the Philly shell and they want to emulate that, and they don't realize they look at what Floyd has in regards to the glitz and the glamour, but like Floyd is a workhorse, like outside of like getting ready for fights, he stays in the gym, he lives a healthy lifestyle, but with social media nowadays and how these younger kids are, they don't
the,
value
the
fundamentals.
man goes to the strip club and drinks water,
Yeah.
and then runs back home from the strip club.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's Floyd is a different animal.
they don't see that.
No, well, they do, but they choose to ignore that and they focus on like the glitz and the glamour. But you got a few guys, man, that still have that old school mentality. I believe our young guy Brian Norman Jr. He's 23, man, but he doesn't drink, he doesn't go out and party. Like the kid is focused, man, and 26 and old, 23 years old to win his first world title. He reminds me of an old school guy that is locked in, and I feel like there's going to be great things for him. So there are a couple guys out there that still, have that old school mentality, but for the most part, a lot of these guys, man, they're lost in social media and the glitz and the glamour.
Yeah, this as you can see, my
Gotcha.
boy here,
Gotcha.
and my mentor when I got out here in California was Emmanuel Stewart himself. So, just sitting around and just talking boxing with Emmanuel was like just opening up an encyclopedia of boxing just by itself.
Gotcha.
You know, but I'm gonna talk about a few fighters, and I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here too, because one of the guys that I'm gonna talk about is a guy from your hometown,
Okay.
and that's Mr. Errol Spence.
Yep.
Um, Personally, I thought he got back in the ring too soon, considering the accident. I mean, when you look at the car, you look at how the car turned over 2 or 3 times. I mean, that's the neck, the area, the whole 9 yards. I thought that here was what was a sound fighter, put his career on the line, and now I don't know if he can recover. Just and to me that goes to wanting the money rather than trying to preserve your health. Like everything now, instant gratification. What were your thoughts on that fight and the condition of him?
I mean, after the accident, he came back and fought Danny Garcia, and won a one-sided fight, and then after that, he fought against Ugas and won and stopped Ugas, I believe it was. So nobody questioned him after those wins. It's after he lost to Crawford, then it's like, oh, well, he's a shot fighter. He's not the same. I mean, I don't think anyone would be the same getting thrown from a vehicle and pretty much hitting their head and losing all of their teeth and having to have plastic surgery and things like that. I think it's a testament to the warrior that Errol Spence is. Yeah, he met a guy in Terrence Crawford that that dismantled him that evening, but I don't think it takes away anything with Errol Spence Jr. At the end of the day, we're gonna look back if people like talk about Vinny Paz and they made a movie about Vinny Paz. Vinny Paz came back to fight for a world title, but I think he was destroyed against Roy Jones Jr. or whoever it was he fought. But with Errol, he came back to win titles. And in this fight against Crawford, I said he met a better guy that night, and I don't think it does anything to his legacy. If anything, I think he'll go down as one of the great welterweights, and his story will be glorified, man. Because what he did, like aside from Vinny Paz, like Errol Spence did something that was utterly incredible. So, and then and to kind of expound on that, you risk your life and your health stepping in that boxing ring, man. Like it's not promised to anybody. One punch like can change everything. And I remember Pritchard Colon. Like Pritchard Colon was a promising prospect out of Puerto Rico, and him taking shots to the back of the head, his career ended prematurely. So
Boom Boom Mancini, going back to my hometown.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So no, I feel like people look at what Errol Spence did, and even though he has a fight coming up possibly in October, man, that as long as he's not the fight with Crawford was one-sided, but one fight we can't call for someone's career because they lost one fight. Now, if Errol gets in against Fundora and it's this like same thing against that it was against Crawford, then of course, man, it's time to call it a career. But at the end of the day, you can't regard Errol Spence as anything else but a GOAT in this sport, I believe.
So now let's talk about the other end, Terrence Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people have Terrence, well, up until this last Tyson Fury fight, most people had Terrence Crawford #1 pound per pound. What do you think about the direction of his career, and how do you see Terrence Crawford?
I think he earned that. I think he earned that. It was between him and Errol to be, the guy, and what Terrence Crawford has done in his career. Like you can't deny that, man. And he faced against. There's no excuse, just because Errol. It wasn't the same Errol that we had seen before the accident, but he still stepped in the boxing ring. He trained for the fight. They had the same amount of time to prepare. Ash Crawford, and Crawford came out victorious that night. So he'll go down as probably one of the greatest welterweights, the greatest fighters that we've seen, man. So I applaud the brother, and I hope he keeps going. This next fight he has coming up, get another fight, get another belt, another division. But I think he should be up there as number one because he's done nothing over three weight classes, 4 weight classes to show that he's like the best. So I tip my hat to him.
Talk to you about another guy that's trains right out here at the House of Boxing right here in San Diego. But I guess for one fight, he decided to bring his food up from Mexico. But anyway, I'm talking about Canelo Alvarez. So, I mean,
I love Canelo, man, and I think Canelo has earned the right to do exactly what he's doing right now, fight who he wants to fight. And he fought 3 times against Triple G. He fought against Cotto. Canelo, he earned the right to be in the driver's seat to shoot like Floyd Mayweather did. Floyd essentially fought everybody, and it may have been past the time that we wanted it, but he went through and fought the greats, and then he got to a point to where he was looking at, I want to make the most money possible. So him fighting against Berto and Conor McGregor, it's like, you laugh at it, but he earned the right to do that because he fought the best, and I feel like Canelo did the same thing, man. So I feel like sometimes as a community in the sport of boxing, like the fans are just too hard on the athletes because the fans want what they want in regards to the fights. But man, these guys have put it all on the line against some of the best athletes in the world. So I think Canelo's on the tail end of his career. I don't think he has too much longer because like what else does he have to prove? And if you're not going to fight against the up and coming, like younger guys that are going to be next up, then I think you're on the tail end of it. So I'm a big fan of Canelo's work inside the ring.
Okay. Tyson Fury.
I mean, again, on the decline. He's on the decline.
Well, I'm going to ask you about some old guys. Well, not, fair to middle, and then I'm going to ask you about some of these younger guys.
Gotcha. Yeah, but he's definitely on the decline. I want to see a fight with him and Anthony Joshua. Because, I feel like we missed the boat on that. And also with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, it's like those are 2 fights wanted to see that we didn't get a chance to see. So I know they're talking about a rematch with Tyson and Usyk, but I wanted to see him against the other top heavyweights. But again, another guy that you can't take anything away from. He's under the tutelage of, I think it's Sugar Hill, right? Like Tyson has a background of being with, some goats, man. So tip my hat to him. I wanted to see that AJ fight with Tyson.
Okay. So you mentioned Anthony Joshua. So let's talk about Anthony Joshua. What do you think? The talk between about him and Fury. Now, I'm sure, as far as selling out Wembley Stadium, maybe being the biggest crowd of all time, I'm sure all of those things, play into it. But what do you think?
I think now at this point, I think AJ beats him. But Tyson coming off of the Wilder wins, like that momentum, and him clashing with Joshua, then it's like I don't know who would win that fight. But I think now, given the momentum that AJ has, I got a chance to meet him and his crew when they came through Dallas, and he was training with Derrick James. He learned a lot here, and he fought in AJ's not the Ngannou fight, but the fight before he fought my client Otto Wallen, and I felt like before seeing AJ, because he did change trainers, so I figured, he's changing trainers. This may be the best time to get him. He's leaving Dallas, going to someone else. This may be the best time, but when you watch that fight, that half a step back and then the straight right, and then throwing the left hook behind it, he learned that here in Dallas, man. Like Derek had him doing that. So when I saw the first round and I saw that, I was it's gonna be a long night for Otto. But now AJ is the momentum he has now. Yeah, he's gonna be a problem for Tyson Fury, for the gentleman that just knocked out Wilder. AJ's gonna be a problem for anybody, man, because he's grasped a lot of things that he learned here in Dallas, and he has a solid trainer now. So AJ's gonna be a problem in the heavyweight division.
Okay. What do you think about Bivol?
I'm sound fighter. I don't. If you don't appreciate boxing and the science, then he may not be a fan.
Your cup of tea.
right. But if you really appreciate the science and you know the sport, man, he's a guy that's he's by the book and he's gonna break you down. And I'd like to see more from him offensively because I think he can be like Floyd. I feel like he could be a lot more offensively exciting. And you talk about giving the fans what they want. They want to see you, you know what I'm saying, let your hands go and somebody out of there hurt them. So love Bivol as a fighter. He did something with Canelo that probably shocked a lot of people, but I just want to see more from him offensively to hopefully give him more of a platform, a bigger platform, but very solid and sound fighter.
A guy that one of my good friends, John Scully, trains, Benavidez. Benavidez.
Benavidez.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and even with him again, a guy, you know what I'm saying? Like he's sound, man, and he's coming to take you out. Like that's one thing I like about him. Like, see, he'll throw some punches to get you out of there. But it's one of them things to where, and that's why I'm not switching. But I like the guy from Saudi Arabia that's kind of making some of these big fights happen, of these guys that we, based off of the promoters here in the States and how they do things, this guy's really rocking the boat and kind of pushing the issue on these top guys fighting each other, and he's bringing the money behind it to make the fights make sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Riyadh spin, man.
Yeah.
Riyadh spin. All right, let's talk about some of the younger guys. Ryan Garcia. Let's start with him. Because right now, I'm kind of worried about where he's coming from. As a person, not as a fighter. But what do you think about Ryan?
Well, I mean, let's say he's a guy that's here in Dallas. Got a chance to meet him also, and very cool dude, man. He's a young kid, but he comes to the gym and he works hard, and he's learning a lot from Derek. And aside from the positive test, which I have my I don't like how the VADA, I don't like how they operate, because what we're looking at now is, and I'll give you this quick example. I don't know what the limit is in Pennsylvania. If you're intoxicated, there's a limit that if you're 0.0 something, like you're above the limit, and like either you're going to jail or it's a DWI. But if you're 0.0001 or something like that, it's like, all right, just take it easy and go home. But you're not. And what we're looking at, and most fans don't understand this, like it can be a nanogram, and I don't think people understand how small a nanogram is. It can be a nanogram of a banned substance, and it can be 0.00001, but it pops up, and then VADA puts out a report like, oh, okay, this banned substance was in his system, but it's a nanogram. And I use the nanogram example because when Jarrell Big Baby Miller got popped a second time, I'm helping Big Baby out, and he tested positive against Jerry Forrest. And he was like, bro, I didn't take anything. And we got the results from VADA, and it's like, wait, a nanogram of a banned substance? Jarrell Miller is 300 plus pounds. What is a nanogram going to do for him? So I said all that to say, man, aside from the drug situation, I feel like Ryan Garcia is an exciting guy. He's good for boxing. He did something that no one could do against Devin Haney. And if it's a nanogram of Osterin or whatever it was, then, he successfully dismantled a great fighter in Devin Haney, bro. So I like Ryan, and I like, even though people question some of the stuff he does on social media, but it gets people to buy in or tune into the fight. So I don't mind the method of him doing it, and he backed it up by beating a really good fighter. So I like Ryan.
Okay, well, let's see. Errol Spence. I mean, not Errol Spence. Excuse me. The guy that Ryan beat.
Devin Haney.
Devin Haney. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's one loss. It's one loss, and yeah, he did. He took some big shots, man. But we have to get away from just because a guy took a loss. He wasn't brutally one punch knocked out. You know, Ryan hit him with some good shots, and his legs were gone. And seeing people say, "Oh, he's done," taking a beating like that, he's never going to be the same. Yeah, he'll remember what it's like to get hit. You know what I'm saying, with a good hook. So it'll be in the back of his mind, man. But you can't call for his gloves. I think he's shot because he lost one fight. I think he's still a hell of a fighter, and he's going to go on to do great things in the sport of boxing at the 40 and 47 and maybe even 54 division. So I think Devin Haney's a really solid fighter. It's just he ran into a guy that was a better man on that particular day, and that man had a strategy. He came in heavier, and then there was no rehydration clause that they put in for the day of the fight. So he came in 3 pounds heavier, didn't have to stress to lose the weight, and then comfortably put on whatever weight he wanted to the day of the fight. So, there was a lot of faults in Devin Haney's management side of things. No diss to Bill Haney, but just being real. But I just feel like Devin Haney is still a great fighter despite the loss.
And hey, and he got some extra paper too by Ryan being overweight. Shakur Stevenson.
Shakur is good, man. It goes back to what we talked about with being more offensively exciting. He has the skill level to do it, and he has the platform. He's fighting on ESPN, so excuse me. I think once Shakur just says, you know what, screw it, and goes toe to toe and like beats somebody up and dismantles them and like knocks them out, like I think that's what we're gonna see his next fight. Like he's really gonna walk someone down and show people that I am an exciting fighter. I am a guy that can knock people out. I'm a guy that's not afraid to get hit. All the things the critics are saying, I think Shakur is going to show that within his next couple fights. At least I hope he does, because the last few, man, I understand boxing. I understand he's using his feet and frustrating the other fighter. But again, for fan appeal and to be on network television, people want to see a show. And I hope he gives that to us in his next few fights.
Well, you brought me right around to my favorite guy, Tank.
Oh, Gervonta. Yeah, Gervonta. Hey, man, Gervonta is the guy. Gervonta is the guy, and he gives.
You talk about appeal, and I mean.
Yeah. But I will say this. Frank Martin is going to be a great test, like for Gervonta. And I'm a little biased because I know Frank very well. He's here in Dallas also with Derek.
Right.
So the advice he's getting from a world-class trainer in Derek James, he's going to be prepared for this fight. And as long as Frank sticks to the game plan and he's not rattled by the things that come with fight week, the media, all the attention, all the hype, as long as he gets in and executes, man, Tank is going to be in for a good fight against Frank Martin. And I feel like Tank is already proven as the guy that is essentially pretty much the face of boxing right now. But him dismantling, if he can stop Frank Martin, at that point, man, there's nothing. Even right now, I don't think there's really much you can say about Gervonta Tank Davis, but him dismantling a guy like Frank Martin and taking him out, man, from there, like there ain't nothing you can say about Tank, man. He delivers. So I'm interested to see how this fight goes. I know what Frank has, and I know who's in his corner. So I'm pulling for Frank. But when Gervonta Davis gets in that ring, man,
are you gonna be in the corner?
No, I'm not gonna be in the corner, man. I'm not a part of. I'm not a part of Frank's management team, man. Derek is my guy. Derek is one of my best friends in this sport. So full support of him, and I've got a chance to build a relationship and a friendship with Frank. So, much respect to my guys, man. I really hope they pull out a win.
And my final guy is Boots.
Jaron Ennis. I want you to add someone to that list, man. I don't know, because you're in San Diego a couple of weeks ago, man. Brian Norman Jr. came into the backyard of Giovanni Santillan, who's from San Diego, and he put on a complete show. But getting back to your Jaron Ennis, I'll say this: I think he's a guy that can essentially carry the torch from for the welterweight division, because we're seeing the end of Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. Like, those guys are 30. Errol's 34 and Terrence is 36, 37. Like, they're older guys now. Their time is coming to an end. Now it's going to be the era of Jaron Ennis and Brian Norman Jr. and the other young guys that are in the welterweight division. So I feel like we're going to see how he does against Crowley. I think that's a fight that he's probably going to stop that guy. But, people are going to want to see, like, Jaron step in with top competition. He already has pretty much 30-something fights. They're going to want to see him, like, highly tested and see what he can do at the welterweight division. So he's probably a guy that we're going to run into somewhere down the line. I don't know if it's a unification type thing, but with Brian being the WBO interim champion, Crawford's going to vacate, and then Brian will take over that belt. And then pretty sure Jaron's going to look to take over the division. We're on a collision course with those two guys, but I love what he does in the ring. It's exciting. I love the little slow motion thing he did, and that's why he's an exciting kid, man. So we'll see what he continues to do moving forward.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your fighter before we get off the air.
Brian Norman. I mean, he's been in the ring sparring against Jaron Ennis. He sparred against Gervonta Davis, Terrence Crawford. Like, and he sparred against these guys when he was 15, 16, 17 years old. Like, he's only 23. So Brian is out of Atlanta. He's the first world champion from Atlanta since Vernon Forrest. Georgia hasn't had many world champions. So,
No.
This kid he's the real deal. And he this was his fifth fight with Top Rank. His last four fights, I don't think people really got to see it. What we saw against Giovanni Santillan, they didn't see that the last four fights. You saw a young kid that was still in the development stages. He may have 26 fights, but you have to understand, he's still 23 years old. And some of those fights were in Mexico where he took out guys in the first round. Like, that's not really development. He's getting his feet wet essentially, but you're not really developing. So we're seeing a young guy who's still in the development stages that's a world title holder at this point, man. So Brian Norman Jr., just as people are talking about Boots right now, they'll be talking about Brian Norman Jr. because, again, he's kind of coming out of nowhere and surprising a lot of people. So Brian Norman Jr. is a name that people should really get familiar with because he's doing some big things.
How did you find him?
Actually, Carl Moretti from Top Rank. When I took over the CEO position at Fighters First and hired Jolene Mazzone, he was letting us know that Brian Norman Jr. is a guy that, if we're going to be based in Atlanta, you gotta know who this kid is. And he told us about the sparring with Crawford. Now, he gave Crawford some excellent work, and the work he gave Gervonta Davis. Heard about those things. So from my standpoint, I think that I'm a really good recruiter. I build businesses very well. This is my second business that I've built. Well, second management company that I've built. The first one I sold in 2019, and now I'm building someone else's company. But what I do outside of building companies, I think I'm a really good recruiter. So being able to take a relationship out of thin air and like mold it into something is something I'm really good at. So I was able to walk into Brian Norman Sr., who was his dad, his trainer, his place of business, man, introduce myself and paint a picture for them that if they, hired us to guide his career, that he would get to a point where he's making millions of dollars and becoming a world champion. And we're on that path as far as the millions of dollars go, but he's already a world champion within not even 2 years of us representing him, man. So it's been a journey, and we still have a ways to go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we might want to be back in touch with you and get him on the show.
Yeah, good deal. Let me know, man, and I'll set it up. He's been doing a lot of interviews lately, so we won't have a problem doing another one, especially someone in San Diego where he captured his first world title
Yeah.
in amazing fashion in San Diego. So I'm pretty sure he would love to talk with you.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of fight cards here in San Diego anymore. We used to, but as you know, the fight game progresses, we're getting more fights up and down the coast. So, and it's always good when you're close here in LA too. I mean, it's just
Right.
less than about 100 miles up to
Yeah, I'll be back in LA, well, Ontario, California.
Okay.
Yeah, Giovanni Cabrera fights William Zepeda on July the 6th. So Giovanni's our client, and we're looking for another. They called it an upset. I don't think it's going to be an upset. I think Giovanni's going
Okay.
to.
All right. We say they called it an upset.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's going to be an upset. I'm like, nah, we expect Giovanni to beat William Zepeda, and he'll be a big player in the 135 division. So July 6th, Zepeda versus Cabrera is going to be a great fight.
When do you come out of training camp?
So Giovanni trains in California. He actually is trained by Freddie Roach. So he's in training.
Wild card.
He's at wild card. Yeah,
okay.
He's at wild card. Yeah, so he's there getting ready for the fight now. So G's locked in, and I know Freddie is locked in. Shout out to Marie Roach, Freddie's wife. But yeah, everyone is locked in from our camp, man. So we're ready to rock.
No, I was thinking, maybe we could get him on, like after, he gets out of training camp, just, before the fight.
Yeah. I'll get with you. We can set some things up.
All right. But in the meantime, it was, I got to ask you because I have an old listing for Adrian Clark, and I thought actually I had two, and I was thinking it was you. Because, like I said, I had started this show, and I used to do it with Ronnie Shields on Sunday, as well as we had some other fighters and trainers on. I'm so glad that I've run into you, man. I'm excited about some of your fighters. I'm excited and let me know when you get out here in San Diego, and we can do lunch or something, man. I don't know. You're a big boy. I don't know if I can. I might have to take you to Taco Bell. I don't know.
No, Taco Bell ain't gonna be good enough, bro. I'm high maintenance, man. I'm gonna need
okay. Hey, we got Roost Chris Steakhouse.
Now you speaking my language now.
That's it.
Taco Bell, no, bro. I make too much money with Taco Bell. You need something real.
Hey, man, we got Gordon Ramsay. We got all. I used to be a chef, man.
Gotcha.
That's why I make the crack about Canelo getting his beef from Mexico.
Right.
But hey, man, it was great having you on the show. I appreciate the energy, man, and I look forward to having you back on the show, man. Tell people where they can find you, and give us your final thoughts for the evening.
So on Instagram, AC_Clark, you can find me there. I typically respond to messages and things like that. Fighters First Management, you can go to fightersfirst.com. And our Instagram page, I do not know the name off the top of my head, but you just type in Fighters First Management, I'm sure we'll come up.
Now, at Fighters First Management, does it have a list of all your clients on it? And
yes,
and the bios?
Yes,
okay.
It does.
All right.
And final thoughts for the evening, man, is just keep supporting the sport of boxing, but more so in a positive manner, man. There's a lot of fans I see that they're not satisfied with nothing. They see a good fight, and then all of a sudden you don't let the guy enjoy his win. You automatically say, "Oh, well, he can't beat this person." It's like, well, he just beat this person tonight. Let's enjoy this win, or let him enjoy this win. Let's talk about the good things and even some of the bad things that happen in the fight. But I feel like as a boxing community, we tear down the athlete so much. Win, lose, or draw. It's like there's always something negative and this negative stigma that's there. And if a guy loses, it's like, oh, his career is over with. No, bro, let's we have a great sport, man, and I feel like the younger generation is getting ready to take over a lot of things that's going on. So we need to do that in a positive way, as the guys before us paved the way for it to be lucrative and rich for us. But if we keep the negativity up, talking about the fighters and everything just negative, man, it's not going to go anywhere. So just positive outlook in regards to the fights, and let's keep it positive. I understand there's a little bit of negativity that's there, but it can't be everything in regards to the sport, man. So that's my 2 cents.
Hey, man, appreciate your time, and look forward to having you back.
Respect. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great night. That was Mr. Adrian Clark. We had two very distinguished guests tonight here on the Weekend Wrap. I look forward to getting back on the air a lot more, and look forward to promoting our great sport. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you soon.